Hey, it's me, Maggie J. Today with a review of the 6th episode of Reservation Dogs called Hunting. This episode focuses solely on Willie Jack and her father Leon, and I cried the whole second half of this episode because I am just that kind of sap. Ever since I became a mother, I cannot help getting teared up over the tiniest hint of sentimentality, in real life and especially on screen. So, if I can't give a lengthy explanation about this episode, it's because I'm a big crybaby, and I can't turn it off. We start this episode the same way as the last, with a flashback. But we only go back to last year, just before the beginning of deer season. Leon is baiting up his hunting grounds, spreading out dried corn. He hears something that makes him look around, and then he sees a tall shadow with red glowing eyes. He calls out to it and says he means it no harm, and then asks, "What are you?" The title screen pops up, and then we're back in the present day, and Willie Jack's alarm is going off. It's 4:30 a.m., and she's getting ready for the first day of hunting season. After she makes herself some coffee, she stops to talk to the photo of Daniel hanging on the wall. She tells him she misses him, and says that Chunk is still out there, and maybe she'll be able to get him before they leave for California. As she turns away from this photo, she looks up to the one above it and says, "Sup, white Jesus," which I think is a poignant statement about how when some people talk to a higher power, they are talking to God or Jesus, but Willie Jack talks to Daniel and asks him to help her shoot straight, like she doesn't trust anyone else to look out for her in that way. She then wakes up her dad Leon, and we can tell he was not prepared or even wanting to participate in the first day of hunting season. But he goes along with his daughter's insistence that they go, and is spouting off what I call dadatitudes the whole time. They're like platitudes, but from a dad's perspective, with the intention to instill good habits into their children. We've all heard this advice before, but because it's your dad telling it to you, it's supposed to carry more weight and make you feel guilty when you don't follow through. When they get to the hunting area, they get out their rifles and start walking into the woods. Willie Jack asks him how come he hasn't been hunting in the last year, and he tells her he's just not felt like it. She reminds him that she won't be around forever, so he's got to get the hunting trips in now. They sneak through a barbed wire fence that has a no trespassing sign on it and head to their usual perch. When they get to their spot, Willie Jack pulls out a makeup compact of reddish something and says it's her war paint and smears some streaks onto her face. Her father points out all the chemicals on the label and tells her she shouldn't be putting anything that she can't pronounce onto her skin. But in the next scene, we see he's got his war paint on as well. While they're waiting for anything to happen, Leon asks her about why she wants to leave the reservation. What's in California that's so much better than Oklahoma? She explains that her favorite celebrities are there, and she can do things there that she can't do here, like become a gourmet chef, or an MMA fighter, or a dog rescuer, which are all jobs that she can do right there in Oklahoma. She's just not seeing it. I have to wonder if this has to do with Daniel. It was his dream to go, so I'm wondering if she feels like she should go, either to honor this dream or to make sure that she doesn't wind up like him. The subject turns to why Leon never left, and he tells her that there's nothing out there for him. His friends and family are here. What else is there? He tells her people come back to the reservation all the time. And he's not wrong. A noise interrupts their discussion, but it winds up being a turkey that winds up stalking them throughout the rest of the episode. They don't want to shoot the turkey because they're hunting deer, and gunshots are like the number one thing that does not attract deer closer to you. So they just let the old boy do what he's gonna do and hope he scampers off soon. Willie Jack mentions Chunk, and Leon admits he doesn't know what she's talking about. She pulls out a photo that she printed on his special laser printer of the famed deer that she and Daniel saw and named a couple of years before. She got the picture from a trail cam that she assumed belonged to her father, but it does not. This sparks a conversation about who is putting trail cams onto their family's hunting grounds. But if the barbed wire fence and the no trespassing sign was not enough of a clue, they no longer own these lands. It was sold by their family a couple of generations ago. Leon has just been hunting here because no one has formally told him to stop. The land has changed hands a few times and now lies in the possession of who Leon calls Texas ranchers. Leon wants to know where this trail cam was, so Willie Jack agrees to take him to where she found it. During this journey, we are treated to a montage of Leon and Willie Jack making their way through the forest, examining the conditions, searching for evidence of deer, being followed by that same disrupting turkey, doing a little dancing, all being caught on various trail cams, proving these entire hunting grounds are under surveillance, and they only discovered one of the cameras. They eventually get to a spot where they sit down. Leon apologizes for the way he's been over the last year since Daniel's been gone. Willie Jack tells him to stop or he's gonna wreck her war paint. FYI, if you've got any on, you better go take it off right now because the rest of this episode is just a factory for tears. A flashback to a previous year shows us the destructiveness of Daniel. He disrupts the quiet hunting atmosphere by humming a song. Leon tries to quiet him, but he's too frustrated. Daniel jumps to his feet and starts yelling about all the things that are pissing him off until Leon agrees to take them home. The things that Daniel complains about during this tirade help to illustrate his mindset before he killed himself. All the way up to this episode, the only explanation we've had about his death is that this town killed him. During this outburst in the woods, he says that he's hungry, he's bored, he's waiting for Chunk, aka anything interesting, to come along. He's losing his patience. He wants it now, and he doesn't know how to wait for it any longer. Willie Jack is able to dismiss his behavior as him just always acting up, but he is literally screaming for help, and he probably has been for a while, and nobody is recognizing it. I think this serves to highlight the ignorance and compartmentalization of mental health issues, where we think that these thoughts and feelings can be easily corralled or disrupted. But it's difficult for those who don't have to live with these symptoms to fully understand what the victim is going through. They eventually find the trail cam that they're looking for, completely oblivious to the at least 32 other cameras that picked up all their travels that day. This one turns out to be a real fancy one. Leon says he'd like to have one for himself for Father's Day, and Willie Jack basically says, "Why wait?" and attempts to cut the camera down herself. While they're fiddling with the strap, they hear voices. It's the Texas Rangers! At first, it sounds like they're complaining about work, and cattle prices are up, feed prices are up. But by the end, they're just running down a list of things that they have problems with, like Mexicans and wokeness and the gays. Leon finally opens up to Willie Jack about what happened to him the year before. He thinks that what he saw was a tall man, and it scared him like nothing else ever had. She tries to ease his feelings by saying maybe it was Daniel coming to say goodbye. They have a father-daughter moment where he tells her that he trusts her no matter what she chooses to do with her life, and he'll always be right there on the reservation, supporting her and waiting for her to come home. He wonders if he failed Daniel by maybe not telling him the same, and Willie Jack tells him that he can't control everything. And then we all cried together. We flash back to the night before Leon saw the tall man. He's loading the bags of corn into the back of his truck, and Daniel comes by saying that he was on his way home. I get the feeling he wants to say something to his uncle, or maybe to ask for something, but after they talk about them going hunting soon, he walks back the way that he came from, and it's not said, but that's the last night that Daniel was alive. Magically, a deer appears, and it's Chunk. Willie Jack aims down her sights while Leon coaches her to relax and breathe. And boom! Chunk is in the back of the truck, along with that damn turkey. And as their truck drives away, we can see the glowing eyes of the tall man standing in the trees. They stop by the cemetery to visit Daniel, and Willie Jack tells them she took down Chunk. She mentions how hard it would be for her to leave this place and everything that she knows. And she doesn't know how he did it. But she's not mad at him about it anymore. Then this song starts to play that I think some people online were calling Creek Hymn. And as the truck drives away, the camera cuts to a long shot of the cemetery, and we can see all of their relations waiting patiently for their next visitor. And that's the end of the episode. You know, I thought this was a comedy show, but here I am, bawling my eyes out every week, and I love it so much. This series is dealing with a lot of issues that I think a lot of people don't know how to cope with. Every single character in this show has something that they are hiding from, or running from, or can't cope with, or can't get over. The pain is rampant. And I don't think anybody's dealing with it appropriately. So many people are out here just walking around trying not to fall apart, and they're destroying themselves. Overall, I give this episode 5 stars. I have no complaints. There is nothing that could have been done better or more appropriately. This is perfect. I hope that stories like this encourage people to treat themselves right, and for others to be more empathetic and not talk shit about people who are trying to get their mental health straight. It's not a joke. It's very serious, and it could kill you. And it's time we started treating it that way. That is all that I have to say about this. Thank you so much for watching. I truly hope that you are doing well. And if you are not, you do whatever it takes to get back to you being you. We're all here for something, and we never know what role that we play in others' lives. And that's why you gotta keep being here and putting your influence out into the world, even if it's just making shitty YouTube videos about stuff you watch on TV. I promise you that the next video will not take me 2 weeks to get done, even though I just had to re-record this entire video because I deleted it. So excuse my appearance and the sound outside. I had to do this, and school is being dismissed right now. It is really the worst time for filming, but if I don't get it done, I won't get it done for 3 more days. So I have a lot of work to do. Y'all take care of yourselves and stay safe out there.